Okay, let's take a look at how to figure out the area underneath a curve when we are not starting with a unit standard deviation, i.e. 1 or 2 standard deviations or 3 standard deviations above or below the mean. Actually, let's start out by retesting some of the work that we did in the last video. So, if I remember correctly, the first problem we had in the last video was the area that was under 1 standard deviation above the mean. So first thing we want to do to set this website up, to set this calculator up, is we want to set the mean at 0 and the standard deviation at 1 because we're working here with z-scores. Important to do that, otherwise we're not going to get the right answers. So again, a z-distribution, mean of 0, standard deviation of 1. So let's look at the amount of variation below 1 standard deviation above the mean. I'm going to set the below radio button, 1 standard deviation, click recalculate, and we get about 84%. I think that was the same answer we got before. Now let's look at above 1 standard deviation. Again, I'm going to click that above, click a 1, click calculate, and again, about 16%. That also matches what we got before. Now let's take a look at the amount, the percentage of scores that will be below -2 standard deviations. So we're going to click below. We're going to make this a -2. What do we get? About 2. I said 3% before. Depending on how you round this off and what you use. It's about 3%, a little bit less actually. All right, and then finally our trickiest problem was the problem between 1 and 2 standard deviations. So I click the between button and I select 1 standard deviation as the bottom, 2 standard deviations at the top, and I'm getting about 13 or 14%, and that was about what we figured. Again, in the previous video, I wasn't paying that much attention to my rounding, so that's where we're getting these different scores. All right, let's now take a look at something else. Let's look at the probability of a score, or the percentage of scores. This stuff translates later on into probabilities. We're not going to worry about that right now. That's at the end of chapter 5. All right, let's take a look. So let's say we want to know the number of scores below 0.5 standard deviations. I'm going to hit calculate, and there we get the answer. About 70%, 69% of scores fall below half a standard deviation. I think we had a problem a bit earlier where we had 1.4 standard deviations for something that we calculated, and that's going to be 0.91 or about 0.92% fall below 1.4 standard deviations above the mean. Okay, you can see in looking at this the utility of drawing out the distribution. I really think it's critical when figuring these kinds of problems to make sure that you've placed the score in the right spot and that you've shaded out the area that you're interested in finding the proportion for, interested in finding the percentage for. And you have to, again, remember, are we looking below the given z-score or above the given z-score? All right, so we'll leave it at that.